Peace be with you. Dear friends, welcome to today's Gospel Reflection. The passage is taken from Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 to 17. In this passage, we are told about a place in Israel called Capernaum. It was a wealthy city located on the northern side of the Sea of Galilee, right on the edge of the lake. The city housed a contingent of Roman soldiers. Normally, the Roman soldiers were violent and rude, but we hear not of a soldier, but a centurion. A centurion was a junior Roman officer in charge of 100 soldiers. There are several centurions mentioned in the New Testament, and they all turn out to be rather good men. They were often remarkable men because they were chosen according to strict standards. The centurion mentioned here in Matthew's Gospel was no exception. He was truly a man of outstanding character. Jesus says something especially important and unique about this man. This centurion is the only man in the New Testament of whom the Lord Jesus says, "The kind of faith that this man has, I have not found anywhere, not even in Israel." Now, the question we want to ask is this: why was his faith so remarkable in the eyes of Jesus? First of all, there is something unusual and exceptional that we can notice right away about this Roman officer. Why is he so concerned about his slave? In those days, a slave was nothing. An owner could do whatever he wanted with a slave without having to give an account. You can treat him like a piece of property. If he is good, you keep him. If he is not good, you just get rid of him. This slave, being sick, would have been completely useless to the centurion. It was important for the centurion because he loved him much. It would have been much less trouble to ignore him and let him die. And yet the master did not reject the slave. The centurion took care of the sick slave because he loved him. This centurion was a loving and caring person. The second thing we notice in this man is his love for the Jews. This again is very unusual. It says in the parallel passage of Luke chapter 7 verse 5, "For he loved our nation, and it was he who built us our synagogue." It was very unusual for a Gentile, especially a Gentile official, to care for the Jews. The Jews hated Romans, and the Romans hated the Jews. Jews and Gentiles did not want to have any dealing with one another. But this was not an ordinary Roman. This centurion loved the Jewish nation. His love was so strong that he did what he could do to enhance the worship of God's people by building a synagogue. It must have cost him lots of money. Third thing we notice in this centurion is that he was not afraid to confess his faith in Jesus, who was Jew, in front of other Jews. Following the centurion's request, Jesus expressed the intention to go to his home and heal his servant. But the centurion did not want him to. He simply said, "I am not worthy for you to come to my house." Notice it very clearly. He did not say, "My servant is not worthy to have you come." But he said, "I am not worthy." He is a Roman official, a commander of 100 soldiers. In the eyes of the society, this centurion is much greater than this poor preacher from Nazareth. Yet he saw something in Jesus that made him say, "Lord, I am not worthy that you should step into my house." Then we find this remarkable explanation. The centurion explains what he has seen in Jesus. He said, "I know what it is to be obeyed. I am a man under authority myself, and I have also under me soldiers who are used to obedience. I say to one, 'Come,' and he comes. I say to another, 'Go,' and he goes." He is an officer used to authority. It is even more remarkable for this official who is used to give orders on the battlefield to say to Jesus, I am not worthy that you should come to me. This is really amazing. He is saying, I give orders to my soldiers and they obey me. But Jesus, you can give orders to anything. To this disease, for example, you command this disease of my servant to step back and it will step back. I am in command of soldiers. You are in command of the whole universe. Just speak a word and I know that it will be done. Instantly, the servant was healed. Dear friends, this is the beautiful faith of the centurion. The centurion asked Jesus for help, not for himself, but for someone else. He crossed racial, social, and political barriers to present his servant's plight. But he didn't tell Jesus what he wanted. He simply described his servant's condition, paralyzed and in excruciating pain. He allowed Jesus to decide if and how he would help. The centurion practiced wisdom in what he did and what he didn't do. Three things command respect to this centurion who evokes faith in us today. First of all, he cared for his slave. Then we notice he loved Jews, building them a synagogue. Thirdly, he had faith in Jesus' words. These three attitudes make the centurion great in the eyes of Jesus. We too can be great in the presence of Jesus, provided we are humble, full of faith in God, and full of love towards our neighbors. God bless you.